Hey, cybersecurity friends, it is good to connect with you to create some more content around the cyber insurance space and how cybersecurity plays a part in all of it. I posted a LinkedIn post about a week, maybe 2 weeks ago, talking about the importance of cybersecurity maturity. So, a lot of MSPs that I talk to on a regular basis are asking about, hey, do you have any way to discount cyber insurance? So, basically, hey, cyber insurance is really expensive. No brainer there, right? So, do you have any way to discount it so that now you're not paying an arm and a leg? Maybe you're just paying an arm, right? Can our controls that we put in place for our clients create tangible discounts? And by tangible, I mean show percentages, show uh, this is how much you could save on your policy if you implemented something like MFA, EDR, a good backup solution, segregated, immutable, things like that. And the answer is typically no. And I went in that whole blog post or in that LinkedIn post. I talked about how it's important to lean into cybersecurity maturity, and the reality is that most of the controls that you see on a cyber insurance application that matter, a big thing we talk about at Fifth Wall is the controls that matter. So you've probably seen it in one of our webinars. You must be this tall to ride this ride. So when you talk about those controls, we mean it. You must be this tall to ride this ride. So the question is, how do you get the best deal on cyber insurance, right? So how do you save money? Because if we're not, if we, for on the one hand, and what the LinkedIn post was encouraging was saying, hey, look, we can't solely think with our wallets, right? We have to be taking this stance where we say the cybersecurity industry is always maturing, it's always evolving, but at the same time, we know that our clients like to think with their wallets, right? So, what are some ways to save money on cyber insurance? I want to talk about that. So, I have an article here, actually just came out 3 days ago. It's from Kevin McKenzie, and the website's called extrahop.com. I'll make sure that it's in the notes of this post, but I'm going to bring that up. So, cyber insurance. A CISO shares strategies for getting the best deal on your coverage. And a lot of the things on here are things we've talked about in the past. But, as an MSP, as an agent, if you're watching this, it's important that you take these things to heart because clients need cyber insurance. We know they need cyber insurance. But oftentimes when they see high pricing, they balk at it and say, I'm not a target. They know what they're talking about, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? That they say these things as kind of a defense, but really what they're seeing is dollar signs that hurt. So how can we get the best deal on cyber insurance? And some of the points that Kevin brings up here are really good. So for most companies, cybersecurity insurance is an expensive proposition. No one enjoys paying those annual premiums. We just talked about it, right? But at the same time, we can't afford to have an incident happen and not have cyber insurance in place. So he says this: my advice for companies renewing their cyber insurance or buying for the first time. So here we go. Work with a broker to cast a wide net. All right, so casting a wide net is really important when you're looking for cyber insurance because, like I said, you are not going to get discounts based on your controls alone, right? So this is really important. The controls are like that eligibility place, right? You need those controls to unlock all the locks on a gate necessary for that gate to open. The gateway to cyber insurance is not going to happen if you're not well protected, and that's really what we're getting at here. So you got to work with a broker to cast a wide net. The problem is, he says it here, brokers know which carriers are reputable and easy to work with. That's great, but the other thing you want to make sure your broker knows is what cyber insurance is in the first place. Does your broker have access to good cyber policies? Does your broker know how to communicate cyber insurance? Does your broker know what all of those coverages mean on a cyber policy? You need to ask those questions. It's really important that your broker understands because there are a lot of bad policies out there. If you've looked at any of my LinkedIn memes, a lot of them are about riders, endorsements, different types of policies that just do not cover you for what can really happen in a cyber incident. So when you're shopping for a policy, one of the things you want to look for is a broker who not only has access to companies, but actually knows what they're doing. Cyber is complicated. Brokers need to take it seriously. Agents need to take it seriously. During the bidding process, you're going to have different carriers. We're actually in a softening market now, right? So carriers actually are going to compete for business. If the risk is good, they're going to compete for the business. But this is where the MSP part is. So you get encouraging your clients, be transparent about your security program, your plans, previous audits, your past data breaches, everything. So this is another piece that I think is vital to our pursuit of cyber insurance. Don't hide anything. If it's hidden, it's going to come to light at some point. If you had an incident, there's probably evidence somewhere in the past, somewhere on the internet, somewhere that shows that you had an incident, and it's going to get uncovered. So don't hide that stuff. Don't. This is the key. Do not check yes on those insurance forms if you don't have that security in place. This is why the MSP role is so vital. Is you can help your clients make sure that they have all the things necessary to make them a good risk for cyber insurance. But they need to be transparent about it. If those things aren't in place, say no. And the carrier will come back and say, well, they need to be in place. But don't say yes just to make the application process easier. During the whole process, the pricing you get is going to be based on your eligibility and how different carriers view you. So maybe, this is going back to that broker comment, right? If a broker has a wide net, a truly wide net. So at Fifth Wall, we have access to over 40 carriers directly because we're a wholesaler. We have wholesale access. So when you have a wide net, that means you're going to get the better pricing options because you're able to approach more carriers. You're not going to have that option if you're only going to one carrier. So during this bidding process, if you are transparent about your security, if you're saying this is what I have, then when the risk is taken to market, all of the carriers who approve of that security posture, previous incidents, previous audits, all that information that you were transparent about will know exactly what the risk is, and they will bid on the they'll provide pricing, right? They'll provide an indication for a policy. But if you hide that stuff, you might get a great price, but when push comes to shove and an incident does happen, the carrier is going to pull terms because they'll say you lied on your application. We don't want that to happen, right? And then here's that last part. If seeking high coverage amounts, consider insurance level tiers allowing you to spread your risk across multiple carriers. We like to call that building a tower, right? So certain carriers actually prefer to be higher on the tower. Let's say carrier A says, hey, we're going to cover you up to 2 million, but you say, hey, I want 5 million. Then you can actually approach other carriers who are going to stack on top of that previous carrier. Now, this one, in terms of saving you money, I don't know if it's actually going to do that, in the sense that typical practice is that one carrier who, let's say carrier A says, hey, we'll cover you for 2 million at $5,000 for the year. Typically another carrier say, yeah, we'll build another 2 million on top of that for another 5,000. So now you're paying 10,000, where if you just got 5 million from a carrier, you might have gotten, you might have been able to get it for 8,000. Again, it's carrier access. It's going back to that casting a wide net thing, making sure that your broker, agent, whoever it is who is approaching the cyber market has the access to the carriers who are reputable, who are writing comprehensive cyber policy. So if you're listening to this, take that term away. Comprehensive cyber policy. This goes all the way back to cybersecurity maturity. So we want to mature in our posture. That's our security posture. Having the right tools, the controls that are going to protect us from an incident in the first place. But if an incident does come through, you want to make sure you have comprehensive coverage that is going to cover you for everything that happens in the event of an incident. I'll go over that. I'll probably make another video soon on just what really happens in an incident, because a lot of times what MSPs are hearing, and I'm sure agents are hearing from the client when there's an incident, is I just need to get my systems back online. I need to get things working again. And the problem is that there is so much behind the scenes underneath the immediate thing, which is a ransomware attack across your screen. There's a lot more to it, and we have to make sure we're doing our due diligence to cover all the necessary pieces of an incident. But if we're not taking the time to get a good policy in place that's going to help deal with all of that response recovery stuff, then that's all coming out of pocket, and that can break a business. So we want to make sure that the right coverage is in place, and that it is being accessed, that the market is being accessed in fullness, so that when you want to save money on a policy, you have to access the market fully. And if you want to save money on a policy, you have to be able to say, hey, I have these controls in place. I am tall enough to ride this ride. Now go to the full marketplace. And that's really where we found success, is we're able to reach the market, and we're able to say, hey, look, we only go to carriers who offer comprehensive cyber insurance because we know it's right. And that's that maturity piece. Have comprehensive policies, have good controls in place, and recognize that this industry is constantly evolving. And even though you might be tall enough this year, next year those height requirements might change. So always be looking, always be thinking, always have that security first mindset. And then I'm going to continue to evolve my security posture to meet the threat. Hey, thanks for listening, everyone. Talk to you soon.